Hmm? Ah! Oh.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. My name is Alex,
And I'm Lizzie.
and today we are talking about what is FromCast, and we are talking season 1, episode 8, Broken Windows, Open Doors. And we are continuing our rewatch for the season 3 premiere. And this is a doozy, isn't it? We got a lot going on. So, what are your first thoughts there on the episode?
As usual, it doesn't disappoint. And at this point in the season, we're starting to get into some nitty gritty. And I think it's because of Boyd and family arriving in this little town um, and giving us another perspective of
Right.
who Boyd is and was. I mean, he was very upbeat and optimistic and very much a can do attitude kind of guy. Not that he isn't now, it's just now there's a sadness to him.
Absolutely. No,
So,
I mean, he's, a lot's going on. And with him and Father Khatri having a little in depth discussions, it's
yeah,
it's getting pretty crazy pretty quick.
right,
Yeah, surprised that, not surprised. I mean, it is a rewatch, but I was just surprised to see how, once you know what happens, it's just really amazing they can all keep their stuff together, so to speak,
right.
at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
all the time. It's just, I, I really felt the absence of Father Khatri here.
right,
And when I was watching, watching this episode, and they do a little review from the previous episode, and
right,
Khatri says, "My story's not done,"
and
and
we
I
find that out because he does come back, but
right, right, and I think that's another great thing that this show offers. Like when he said that, it just sounded so sad and disappointing for him that he thought he had more to do and he wasn't going to be able to do it. He couldn't imagine that he'd be living on in Boyd.
true.
And
I mean, and I think that you know, I think the problem is they had to kill somebody off, and killing off a major character
yeah,
is always a good thing. The problem with killing off a major character is that it's a major character. But I
yeah,
think
and
having them
miss
do what
him.
they did, having him come back, and it seems like he might be coming back in season 3, um, it'll make it fun.
I
So,
sure hope that's the case. I do
that,
like that character.
absolutely. And so that said, let's get into it. Why don't you start us off, and we'll get
Okay.
through all the scenes.
All right. So this is season 1, episode 8. And we have 2 more to go after this. This is Broken Windows, Open Doors. Um, this is day 7. We start on day 7. This is the night after the Colony House attack. And I'm trying to keep track because I want to know exactly how long the Matthews family have been there since this started. So we're on day 7 right now. So in the cold open, we're looking at the first scene, and it's the sheriff's office. It's the interior in Boyd's bedroom. Boyd is packing for a trip. Khatri's blood is still on his shirt. Boyd finds the buoy key and looks at it. and Kenny enters and sees Cautry's blood on the floor. At this point, we don't know what that key is all about. So Boyd comes out of his room, and Kenny tells him that he's gotten most of the colony house residents squared away. Each house will take 2 or 3 of them. He and his mom are taking in 3, and he suggests that they gather. He tells Boyd that things are tense and people are boarding up their windows. He suggests that they gather everyone together and say something. Boyd says that it's a good idea and that Kenny should do that. So Boyd is upset. Oh, wait a minute. Kenny thinks that would mean more if it was coming from Boyd. Kenny thinks that it would. Sorry. Boyd is upset and tells Kenny that Cautry saved his life the night they had gotten into town, risking his own life. He abruptly tells Kenny to give everyone his regards and heads to the door, saying he's got something important to do. Kenny protests, saying that the people need Boyd right now. Boyd responds with questioning that they need to hear that everything's going to be okay, that God's got a plan. He tells Kenny that if he's going to be the sheriff when he's gone, that Kenny has to figure out how to say these things and sound convincing, and that he'll do fine. Kenny looks like he's disappointed in Boyd, and Boyd leaves. I kind of thought Kenny looked a little panicked also, because, you know, he's been standing behind Boyd, not having to make any of the big moves or decisions or anything. And here, Boyd just abruptly throws it over to Kenny. It's kind of like,
no, absolutely. I think that Kenny, you know, Kenny relies on, he had his dad, and then he had Boyd as a father figure, and he just wants some stability. And after he lost his dad, which was devastating, not because you lose your dad, but it's the way you lost it. I think that, you know, not that he's not ready to be sheriff, but I think Boyd doesn't do himself any favors by the
no,
way he talks. And
no,
I'm just again, I bring this criticism up, you know, all the time. The fact that they just don't communicate is just baffling. How much the lack of communication, also the lack of, when strange things happen, they're like shocked.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, you're in a land that monsters come out and you're trying to justify anything. Like, you know, I don't know.
Well,
Again, as much as I love the show, and I do,
yeah,
that is the one thing that just drives me nuts about this show.
it doesn't drive me nuts. Like, yeah, it would be great if everyone talked, but would we want to watch a half an hour or even 10 minutes of them just sitting there talking about what's
No,
going on? I don't know that I would,
no.
but
But they could do it in a way that everybody's on the same page.
right.
But or don't be shocked when something happens. Like,
Well, I think they should be shocked because, you know,
but
they're coming from our world, going into this place that just when they think it couldn't get any weirder, it just ups it up a notch. And to me, if they took it as it just being wrote and there was no surprise, there was no concern, I would
well,
think
no, I think
something
there's
was
a
wrong
fine
with them.
line between wrote and not shocked. As I think if we were in this world long enough and you went up to a Donna or Boyd or whatever and said, listen, I don't know what's going on, but I keep seeing bloody stains everywhere. And I don't know what this means. I know I'm crazy, or I know this, but I don't know, like the whole thing with Jade, like if he had said when he was talking to Kenny about this, like, how is this out of the realm of possibility? Again, I'm not saying you should, that's really interesting, whatever. Yeah, he should still think he's a little off, but at the same time, there's no, you call it a puzzle show, which it is. It's
Yeah.
like we're the only ones that are trying to figure out the puzzle pieces. They're not.
Well, they're trying to figure out what's
What do they mean by
going
that? What
on
I mean by
there.
that is they
I
are,
think
but
they're just shocked all the time.
that's what I mean. It's just like I understand they should be shocked, but after a while, they should be not immune, but a little like, okay, this is the new whatever.
Norm. Yeah.
Okay, like you just saw visions. How does that relate to the other stuff? That's all I'm saying. I know I'm going down a rant that is like not gonna help the podcast right now, but it's just like that conversation. Kenny, I don't know if he puts it on himself or he doesn't deserve this. I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because he's a man scorn. He has a relationship with a woman that's a lesbian who
He doesn't know that really yet. No, I don't think he knows that because remember
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
episode.
folks. I know I should know all this. It's just that when
okay.
you're doing these. No, I'm saying it's just like he's got this thing with a girl.
Yeah.
And kind of like, which okay, fine. And he's dealing with a lot of stuff. So
yeah, he is dealing with a lot of stuff.
Give Kenny a break. That's all I say.
Yeah.
I digress. Let's press on.
Yeah, he has a lot going on. All right, so the second scene, still in the cold open, is at Cautry's house down in the basement. Sarah is pacing when Boyd comes down with his dark blazer, covering his bloody shirt. The way that they walk around with, blood on them all the time, it's starting to make me think about it being The Walking Dead or similar to that. But anyway.
Is it your blood or is it someone else's blood? I love that.
Yeah. Boyd tells Sarah or says to Sarah, let's take a walk. Sarah is still in the bloody clothes from when Nathan died. She really hasn't had a chance to change, but I would think, I don't know, they're not really giving her much hospitality, so I guess she should still.
It's not like the From cleaners are 24 hours or an hour cleaner here. And even if they were, the last person that is going to be doing it, it would probably
getting clean clothes.
I don't think she's going to be helping her too much.
Yeah. All right, so we go through the opening credits, and we're on the third scene. We're on the country road. Boyd's little SUV with a trailer attached are driving, and the song playing is If I Had a Boat by Lyle Lovett. And this song is the anchor throughout the entire episode. We keep coming back to this song. And Abby and Boyd are in the front seat, and Ellis is sitting in the back seat like a dutiful son. Boyd calls Abby's attention to the peaceful sounding lyrics. And a man is riding a pony on an ocean because he has a boat. And so anyway, Abby says that it doesn't matter how many times he listens to that song, he still can't afford a boat. And Ellis smirks in the back seat. He's heard this conversation multiple times. It's just a song that, or, like the broken record that goes on between Abby and oh my God, Boyd. And I think it's just one of their things that they do. He really wants a boat. She knows he wants a boat. And they just go through this every so often. And it's kind of like their private joke.
Right.
Boyd insists that if they manage the payments, and Abby asks if not paying the payments is one of the management options, because that would be their option. And Ellis says that the lenders tend to frown upon that option. And they all laugh. Boyd asks, you know what they used to call me in the army, right? And this is the first time we hear this. And they all respond with Mr. Fish and Loaves. No matter what the resources, he would make it work. And this is the main thing that we need to know about Boyd. He makes things work. He gets into this raw situation where nothing is done, there's no infrastructure, there's nothing there, and he kind of like builds a camp, a base, or whatever from whatever he can find. And Ellis says they called Mom Iron Abbey. Boyd says the problem with iron is that it's rigid, it doesn't know when to bend, and I think he's talking about the boat. While Abby fishes around in her purse, Boyd says that a boat wouldn't be a bad retirement gift to help smooth his transition from a long, decorated military career to this, and I underlined this, strange and mysterious civilian life. So Boyd has just told us that he has retired, and then he mentions this strange and mysterious civilian life. And, you don't think that he knew what he was talking about at that point. Boyd asks what she's looking for, and she says her chapstick, and asks if he can hold this for her. And this is the buoy keychain with a key on it. He realizes that it's a boat key and realizes that they bought him a boat. During Boyd's excitement and thanking them, his eyes are off the road. Ellis alerts him just in time for the SUV to skid to a stop at a tree that is crossing the entire road. They get out, and the crows are in full force. I don't know anything about boats, but do they have a different looking kind of key?
Yeah, the reason why they have that type of key is so that if you throw it in the water, it'll float.
Oh, no, the buoy thing I get, but does the key itself look different?
No, not necessarily. No, it's not a special key at all.
Oh, okay.
It's
All
just
right.
like it's like an engine. It's an engine just like anything else.
Yeah.
But
so he was referring to the keychain piece then.
Right. I think, when you look at the bigger picture of this season,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it necessarily should have been this episode, meaning episode 8, but it was a great placement of his backstory.
Right.
Like,
right.
I think they set it up so well. The fact that he had a wife, Ellis had a mom, something happened, as we all well know. We still don't know what at this point. And I think the woman that played Abby couldn't have played it any better.
Yeah.
In terms of being that stern Iron
But
Abby.
soft.
Yeah, that just really gets it.
Unlike what Boyd is saying, she is malleable. She does bend. Otherwise he wouldn't have gotten the boat. But what I like about...
I don't know if she bends so much in the end, but...
Well, she becomes somebody else. But what I like about this scene and what causes some consternation is that you see the relationship that's going on between the three of them. They're a tight, cohesive family unit. They like and love each other. They know each other really well. And they're happy.
Yeah.
Until the tree in the road.
Well, as a juxtaposition, when you look at the Matthews family, which is the exact opposite, and so the way you can look at it, you can look at Boyd's family on the left, for instance, and the Matthews on the right. Well, let's just say, for argument's sake, Boyd's family, if it came to love, would be tilting the scale.
Right.
And once they got to From, it would be going all the way up, versus the Matthews family, which went the exact opposite direction. So that said,
well,
it's kind of interesting.
It is interesting because the Matthews family are clearly in trouble when we first meet them.
But now they're not after the first
after
season.
being there.
Yeah, but that's my point. And then you look at Ellis. Okay, I'll let you finish your point.
It's the argument that at first I was thinking, because we know Ethan heals really quickly. It's like you can see that something is getting mended between Tabitha and Jim. Julie is finding her way back into her family. So they're just like improving. But, here's Boyd's family way up here, happy, everything's great. They're heading into a new chapter in their life. They're really excited about it. Whereas the Matthews family, not excited about what's going on. And they get into this place and they go like this. Well, one's supposed to go up, one's supposed to go down. And so it's not that being there improves everything for everybody. For some, it's like the opposite. At least as we look at it right now, it's the opposite. So the fourth scene is in the forest, and Boyd and Sarah are walking. Sarah asks if Boyd will just tell her where they're going. She asks where Khatri is. Kind of a sore spot. Boyd says, they used to shriek. Did you know that? And then he pauses. All night long, they shriek. Drove people crazy. That stopped once we got the talismans. Then they started to whisper. I always wondered about that. Your voices tell you anything about that? And she says, no. Oh, and he says, of course not. God forbid they tell you anything useful. Boyd tells her to keep walking. She says, not until he tells her what's going on. And he tells her that she's not in a position to make any demands after what she did. And she wants to know where Khatri is. And Boyd tells her that he's dead. Those things got into Colony House. Khatri tried to help, and now he's dead, along with a lot of other people. She asks if Ellis is okay. I mean, I can see why she would ask since she's got Boyd there, but why isn't she asking about everybody else? So Boyd tells her he's fine. He's scraped up and he's at the clinic, and Sarah cries. Boyd asks if she cried like that for Vinshan. I think I said it right. She says that he thinks she's a monster. He says he doesn't care what she is. She's only alive because Khatri thought she could get them home. The second you prove him wrong, Boyd is going to put a bullet into her. So keep walking. And she asks where they're going. He yells, keep walking, and he cocks the gun, and she walks. She just bugs me at this point. Because of what she's done, I'm not a Sarah fan. I know it changes a little bit.
No,
but,
I get it.
Just because. So Jean House, is that how we say it? I forget. Jean? But anyway, this is the exterior, and they're on the porch. Jade sits with his feet propped up on the railing while Kenny says that he'll make up beds for the new people in the basement and gives them the rule of the house. And Clara is in this new group. So these are people from Colony House, and they're going to be staying at Mrs. Lou's place. Jade, and I'm saying this sarcastically, nicely asks what's going on and then nicely welcomes them when Kenny says that they'll have guests for a little while. I don't think Jade really does well with change, but he gets pretty territorial pretty quick. Claire asks, isn't he the guy that thought this was a giant escape room? And then she's like, how'd that work out for you? So Jade said, it's all bullshit. They chose the flower and they don't belong here. Then asks if any of them know where Victor is squatting because he needs to find him. Clara says she saw him running toward the woods with Julie last night. Jade leaves in high Jade style, kumbah fucking ya, and Kenny takes the new people inside. So Kenny just knows how to make people feel welcome, for sure. When we were on this scene, I was kind of wondering, oh, maybe because the windows were broken and stuff, and that's why they couldn't stay there. I was just kind of wondering why they couldn't stay there.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, fifth scene, Matthew's house, kitchen. The whole Matthews family is around the table. Julie sits at the table and says that she doesn't understand what happened last night. 1 second, everyone was having fun, which is true. Everyone was having a good time until they weren't. Jim asks how she got out of the house. When she says she was up in Victor's room, Tabitha gives her some unwarranted shade, which, I can understand. Julie continues to tell them that he was stacking all of these drawings, and she's got them in front of her, and it looked like he was getting ready to leave when the screaming started. And then they climbed out of his window. He said that they had to go into the forest, and they ran to a tree, and he pushed her inside. And Tabitha tries to calm her because Julie's getting upset. Julie continues, he said it was starting. Jim asks, what's starting? Julie says she doesn't know. She says that all she knows is that 1 second she was in a tree and the next she was in a giant cabinet in the root cellar. Tabitha asks how that's possible. Ethan says that Julie went through a faraway tree. Victor said that you can go all sorts of places, and sometimes people go different places. So maybe he went somewhere else, and we have to find him. Tabitha says 1 step at a time while Julie gets up from the table. Julie goes into the hallway where all the questions are written on the wall, and she breaks down asking what's happening to them, what's going on. And Tabitha tries to comfort her. Ethan tells Julie about the big hole in the basement that they're digging so that they can find out where the electricity comes from. Tabitha comforts her, and then Jade just barges into the house. Like, he barges in like he's, like, what is that called? Doing a home invasion, Like,
Right.
He just doesn't think. Like, how many times does he have to go up against Jim before he, gets it? But anyway.
Many times.
Yeah, I guess we haven't gotten there yet.
No,
but,
he's just an idiot.
he's a little clueless. I feel like he thinks he's still the boss at his company.
Also, he's on a different level.
Yeah,
and
I mean, he doesn't have social etiquette.
He just doesn't get it, and he usually has people, and he's been yes to death his whole life. He said that, lackey that ended up, that's his friend supposedly.
Toby.
And I mean, I think his only friend probably is his aunt, who we've come to find out later when we learn about the violin.
Yeah.
But he doesn't respect anybody because he doesn't have to. Because when you're the smartest person in the room, it's kind of hard to have an equal. It's like, I guess I equate it to the people like the Elon Musks and the, who the hell is he going to hang out with? Who the heck is the, Warren Buffett has like this little club where they have team jackets, and it's like, how do you find somebody that has an equal when, like, as much as we would all love to maybe be friends with Elon Musk. I'm just using him as an example. Like, what do you talk about?
Yeah.
It's not like you're talking about pumpkin pie recipes. And I use that as a Big Bang Theory reference because he was in the Big Bang Theory. But I just think that, it's just kind of interesting. But I digress. Let's go on.
Yeah. So Jim goes after Jade, pushing him roughly out to the porch and yelling, "What is wrong with you? Do you have any idea what she has been through?" Jade says, "Believe me, I know times are tough all around, but I found something last night," as he points to the book. And he says, "There's a symbol that I've been seeing, and the same symbol is in this book." And tells him about the picture he found last night that was stuck between the pages. Jim knocks the picture in the book out of Jade's hand and tells him that he doesn't give a shit about his questions, his symbols, and his book. Just stay away from Julie. Instead of saying, yes, I understand you, Jade says, okay, you're doing the whole protective dad thing. I respect that. Jim says, you dragged me into the woods, have me climb a fucking tree for some stupid idea, and then you run off like a psycho before we even have a chance to try it. Jade apologizes about that, and Jim tells him it worked. They only got static, but it worked. Jim says that if they can get it up over the tree line and have enough power, that they could get a signal out. Jade asks how. Jim says that they need to go to high ground. So, I don't know. Jim,
This
to me,
is the
like,
one time where people are trying to communicate ideas,
yeah,
but the problem is the Matthews are the worst group to talk to because they're too new to really get it.
yeah, but Jade is as new as they are.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. He's like trying to say, hey, this is what's going on.
Yeah, but Jim has to get through yelling at him first.
Well,
That's
no,
the problem.
what I'm trying to say,
Because
what you're missing is because Jim is so new to From,
yeah,
it could have gone either way. He still thinks he's in our world where he's not as open to all of it
all the
as
other stuff.
everybody else. And that's my point. So
Let me ask you this. What if you got dropped into that?
yeah.
How do you think you'd be?
I would hope that I'd be more like Boyd than like try to figure shit out. But or trying to get resources or whatever. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I think I would probably be like the Matthews in the sense of, trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
But it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Depends on who was with me too, I
Yeah.
guess.
Like who you have to worry about.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
if I have to worry about anybody at all,
Mm.
But yeah, like I said, it's about resources. So
Yeah.
let's press on.
Okay. So this is the 6th scene, and we're back in Boyd's SUV. They approach the town. The sun is low. On an old barn, someone has painted "Save Us," which is not what you want to see when you're driving into a town you've never been into before. And Ellis comments that that's grim. And just as Boyd asks where all the people are, Khatri comes running out in front of them. Khatri puts his hands up as he starts to move toward Boyd's window. Boyd yells for him to back up. I mean, that's got to be concerning. Khatri begs them to listen as there isn't much time, and this will sound strange. You won't believe me, and I wouldn't believe me either. Wish there was more time to explain, but if you don't come with me right now, you're all going to die. Abby pulls out her gun. Ellis tries to calm her down. Khatri says, you have a gun. That's good, and you're welcome to keep it. Pointed at me the entire time, but I am begging you to please come with me. Abby shakes her head no and tells Boyd to go on, drive away. Khatri begs them not to, and then there's a shriek from a monster. They look. Boyd asks what that was, and Khatri tells him that was death, and it's coming right now. Boyd and Abby look at each other again, and then there's another shriek. They all get out, and they follow Khatri. I don't know.
That's tough. That's a tough scene. I mean, in terms of, I don't know what I would do, but at the same time,
Yeah.
you don't want to be a lemming, but at the same time, hello, what is going on here?
You don't know if you're walking into a
you don't know if
shed
they're the bad guys or not.
Yeah, you don't know. Like that sound could be coming, like they could have had it on a speaker or something like that. It could be anything. But it does sound freaky. So the seventh scene, oh, I forgot. All right, I just wanted to point this out that Boyd comments that to Sarah that they don't shriek anymore since he got the talismans. So I want to kind of keep that like on the chalkboard type thing and think about that, what that might mean exactly, because then they just start whispering. So seventh scene, hiding spot. And it's below the ground. Abby, Ellis, Boyd, Donna, Kotri, and Dale, who I never noticed before. Oh, wait a minute. That's Cliff, not Dale.
Dale is Cliff.
Dale. Okay. Now I'm getting confused. What is Liz's
Donna? I think Donna's there too.
Yeah, Donna's there, but what is Liz's husband's name?
Cliff,
Cliff.
Is.
All right, so this is Dale. All right, yeah. So Abby, Ellis, Boyd, Donna, Kotri, and Dale are standing together quietly. And they hear all this stuff going on, above them. They are below ground, like in this dugout hole. I was wondering how much room there's actually in there. Can they sit down? Is there a place to sleep? Like, I can't imagine that they stand all night. Donna tells Abby that she can put the gun away now. The only things that are going to hurt you are out there. And that thing's not going to make a damn bit of difference if they find us.
Right.
Kotri says, I know you have questions, and I promise we will talk when the sun comes up. And then there's thudding above them, and then a man starts screaming, and there's tearing sounds. Like, ooh. And
that's nice.
Yeah. And like, we know they're in these like hidey holes where, the grass is on like wood and it just slides into place and stuff. And it just makes me wonder how they actually find them. Do they run around on the grass, looking to hear that hollow sound like wood creak or something like that? I don't know. So in the eighth scene, we're in the clinic and it's the top floor. Christy's treating Ellis as Fatima sits by his side. Christy carefully puts Ellis's elbow back into joint and puts a sling on him. And he is confined to bed until Christy can really get a look at him. So Kenny comes in and talks to Christy and offers his help. And she asks for help securing the clinic since they have so many people. And he hands her the book that they've been reading and tells her that he's finished chapter 6 and it's getting interesting. She doesn't think that she'll read much tonight. She kisses him on the cheek and thanks him, and Kenny is happily surprised and he leaves. So to this point in the season, we don't know that there's someone else in Sarah's life. There's just been this budding little thing between she and Kenny, like holding hands at the diner across the table. Like, this seems to be the most overt act of affection so far.
Maybe. Yeah.
The ninth scene, where at the Colony House exterior, Jade and Jim walk up to Colony House. Donna is outside cleaning up body parts and she's crying. I think part of this is throwback to her sister, and then just the horror of what she's doing. Jim asks if she's got a minute, and I'm like, really? And she asks how Julie is. Jim says she's okay, but that's not why they're there. He tells her that they want to build a tower and put it on the Colony House roof. If they can get it high enough, they can broadcast a signal that anyone else could hear. Donna asks what area that is exactly. Jim responds with whatever this place is, wherever this place is, radio signals work in ways that we can't. Jim says that they've gotten an indication that this could work, and Jade says that they got a little static. Jim says that the Colony House is the highest point on the highest hill, and they could broadcast the signal over the forest canopy. Donna gives them permission. When Jim asks if she's okay with this, she responds with, "You know how many people died here last night? 14. Those things killed 14 of my people. There are pieces lying all over this hill, and I don't think the others are coming back anytime soon, so we might as well use the house for something." So, just really grim and sad. And I feel bad for her because it just seems to be like her place to be. So the 10th scene is the forest. Boyd and Sarah are walking. Boyd tells her to keep going and then wait right there at the shack. He opens the door and makes her go in, tells her that she's going to sit right there and that he'll be back before dark. He needs to wrap up a few things in town before they head out. It just makes me nervous. She asks where, and he says to find their way home. She tells him that he won't need the handcuffs for her that he's holding. She's not going anywhere and she wants to help. That's all she's ever wanted to do. Boyd says that there's nothing to chain her to anyway, so he threatens her and says that he'll be back, and then he leaves. So in the 11th scene, we're back in town in the hidey hole the next morning, I think. The door to the hidey hole is slid back. On the street, the three dead bodies are, strewn about. Boyd comes out of the hole and sees the bodies and other people coming out of their holes. People are crying. Boyd says, "My God," and then helps Abby out. Other people in the town are coming out to the street. There's a lot of people there. We see a cleaned out chest cavity just leaving ribs behind. Father Khatri helps Dale out of the hole. Donna welcomes them to their worst nightmare, and she leaves. Khatri says that it's a lot to unpack and just take it slow. I'll explain more at the diner. Boyd is like, "What?" And Khatri tells them to meet him over there, which is the diner. Abby checks on Ellis. He's not really okay.
Yes.
He asks her to stay and walk with him. So what do you think you'd be thinking?
Exactly. I mean, you're in a place that doesn't make sense, and you just want answers.
Yeah.
The next couple of scenes I have questions on, but it's, of course, you're going to have more questions than answers at this point.
Yeah.
Why are these people dead? And we still don't even know why they're dead, sort of. I mean, we know why, but we still don't know anything. At the end of the day, we've gone through 2 seasons, 10 episodes. We still don't know anything more than we did before, other than we still don't know what From is.
Yeah.
So
and I'm okay with that.
Of our podcast.
Yeah. I was wondering if all 3 of the people that we saw were in the same hidey hole. Like, are 3 people enough to keep them busy for a night when everyone's hiding, I mean, that was just me. All right, so the 12th scene, it's the diner, and they're sitting in the dining room. It's Donna, Khatri, Boyd, Abby, and Ellis are sitting in the empty diner talking. Boyd asks if that's what they do every night, hide and pray. Khatri says there's not much else that they can do. Abby asks if they know anything else about this place, like who built it, how long has it been here, and Khatri says that what they know is what you see. And the people here, they're just trying to live through the night. Doesn't give us much time for anything else.
I'm going to tell you right now,
Yes.
and I know this is it's really easy from the cheap seats to say this, but you're trying to tell me that that's the best they know? Like, come on, guys.
It just makes me wonder, like, it seems like they weren't doing much of anything until
That's
Boyd
my
got there.
point.
Yeah, like the right people are sent at the right time. So let's get these other people all terrified, really good and well, and then we'll have someone that comes in That's like a Mr. Fish and Loaves.
But
You
like
know?
at the same time, they did have the resources with Donna and Father Khatri.
Well, they're strong people, but I
But I
think
mean,
it's more,
Father Khatri is, as a priest or
yeah.
a person of the cloth, is used to building community. Like
Yeah.
that's his
One
MO.
would think, yeah, you're absolutely right. It seems like to me that the two of them are so busy managing their respective people. Although Donna's not living up at Colony House.
There is no colony house right now.
Yeah, like they're all in hidey holes. Maybe she goes to Colony House during the day, but she can't stay there at night, you
I
know?
just I like I said, I think that there's a lot to be said for um the lack of curiosity
Yeah.
during the day.
Well, yeah. So Boyd and Abby look at one another. Boyd says that they have to start working together. Donna says easier said than done. Boyd says to start small and gather their resources because he's Mr. Fish and Loaves. Create a system, making sure everybody is covered at
Now,
night.
now to that point, I think that may be a deterrent. That's a huge deterrent.
What?
Meaning, okay, so you've got all these different people,
Yeah.
and let's just say, for argument's sake, you have cookies.
Yeah.
You don't want to share no cookies with anybody else,
Right.
especially if they're your favorite cookies.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's part of the problem because when they start gathering resources, people start getting a little ticked,
Get a little what?
mad
Oh.
that they have to give up the whole community type thing. But it's definitely an interesting thing. And I guess they needed that person to do that because, it's like when two family members are fighting, that's one thing. Or if if I'm trying to teach, my daughter how to throw a ball, she's not going to listen. If somebody else tries to teach her the same exact thing, they listen, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's the way you kind of look at Boyd too at this point.
Yeah.
But
Smelling cologne.
okay, maybe
I'm
it's
home alone. Okay. So let's see. Nobody hides in the same place twice. Have to get people looking out for each other, taking care of each other, and then build from there. They agree, but where do they start? They inventory everything in order to start rationing it out. Donna is in charge of resupply. Abby will draw up a system for where they spend the nights and starting to dig up some new spots and make sure that they are constantly rotating. My question was, why does it matter if they change, like, a person changes hiding spots?
I think what they're trying to do is changing spots, not necessarily the same people, but they might use this spot, and this spot this day, and this spot the other days.
All right, that makes sense.
So that if the monsters do go to that spot, they're like, wait, they're not here,
Yeah.
and they're going to try to keep them on their toes.
But yeah, it's like kind of like a game of concentration, though. Once they know where the spots are, they
Or
can
chess,
just go back. Huh?
or chess.
Yeah.
I mean, it all comes back to chess and moving the board.
Yeah. Yeah. So my question was, do the monsters see them digging new holes?
Absolutely not. But
Oh, they're sleeping.
but if you go back to the theory that they okay, so this is the thing that you have to think about.
Yes.
For all you conspiracy theory people, if they all die, there's no game.
Right.
So if Donna's a mole, just let's put that out there for a second. She's got to keep somebody alive so that they can keep playing.
That's Victor. Victor was
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like whoever that person is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, either Victor has some other storyline that we don't know about, because he's been there for so long and maybe he is that person. But, he was supposed to be killed off in the first season.
Right.
So
Thank God that didn't happen.
no, but they may switch the game on it and make him the mole, but or the double agent or whatever. I don't think that's it. I don't think any of them are double agents. I
I
don't
don't
think
know. I don't
I
know
mean,
because
as much as I can see it, I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm not blind to it. I'm just saying that there's no way, as we have
I
fired.
don't, and I think me using mole is kind of a broad term for what I'm thinking. I was looking at, I was trying to find out something, and went back and watched the scene where they're getting the radio up and going up at Colony House, and the wind is getting crazy, and they're getting static, and it's Jim and Donna at the radio, and Donna looks freaked out like during that time, and then the voice comes over, like she looks like she just got caught doing
No,
something.
and I get that, and we're gonna get to
No,
that.
no, I know. I'm just like,
I'm just saying, no, I get it. I
yeah,
totally get where you're coming from.
yeah.
I just think that it's gonna turn out that I think her worriedness comes from, it's kind of like The Walking Dead. Anytime you have a good episode where something good happens, it's
Something.
going to happen. It's
Yeah,
something bad happens. I mean, they're taking it's a general horror trope. Anything that if
yeah,
once they get food, it's going to go bad, or
yeah.
whatever the situation is,
Someone
um,
comes and takes it.
or
Yeah,
something happens. That's
yeah.
for sure.
So the next scene is Ethan sitting at the kitchen table, and he's going through the Victor's drawings, and he picks up the one that shows Boyd coming out of the woods with a goat. The 14th scene is back at the Matthews house in the basement. Julia's sitting on the rim of the hole, and she's just kind of sitting there. And Tabitha comes and joins her and asks what she's doing. Is she hungry? Like she's doing all the mother stuff that she hasn't been able to do in the last week. Julie isn't any of those things. So Tabitha sits next to her, and Julie asks if she and Jim are still getting a divorce. Tabitha says that she doesn't know. Julie says, hey, it's a simple question. Tabitha says that it's not that simple, and she sits down next to Julie. Julie says that they loved each other, and Tabitha says that they do. Julie asks if it's her. Did she do something wrong? And Tabitha says that wait a minute. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, yeah, Tabitha says yes. That's not true. Tabitha says no and comforts her and tells her that there are things that you only understand when you become a parent. And one of those things is that you live for your children. Your only job is to love and protect them. So when Thomas died, something inside of her broke, and she doesn't know how to fix it. She keeps reliving that day. Such a normal day. Julie and Ethan were in the next room. Jim and Tabitha were in the kitchen, and Thomas was on the changing table. The phone rang. Tabitha reached for a diaper, and Jim reached for the phone. And they just turned for 1 second. Just 1 fucking second. And he rolled off the table, and Julie cries. Your father is the love of my life, but sometimes I see him and I hear the phone ring. Julie asks why Tabitha didn't tell her this before. Tabitha says that because no matter how grown up you are, you're always going to be my little girl. So we pretended that everything was fine, and that just made everything worse. I'm sorry. Julia's sorry too, and they hug and cry. So we finally, get Tabitha's side of the Thomas story, and it's really sad. And I can't imagine that happening, and it's awful to have to live through that. So let's go ahead to the 15th scene. We're at the diner outside the front door. Mrs. Lou, Tom, and some other guy. I think his name turns out to be Eli. We'll find out in a second. Mrs. Lou is fending them off with a broom because, like, she's getting gang rushed at the door. Boyd arrives. Tom yells for her to let them out and threatens trouble. Let them out, maybe let them in, but he threatens trouble. Boyd sees this happening and goes to the diner. Boyd arrives and asks Tom and Eli what's happening. Tom says that they have Colony House people in their houses using their supplies.
Right.
If Tom has to choose between himself and some jerk from Colony House raiding the diner, it's going to be Tom. Boyd assures him that no one is raiding anything. Eli says that those things weren't supposed to get into Colony House either, and look how that turned out. Boyd tells them that acting like animals will make it worse and that they will figure it out. Just go home. So they go. Mrs. Lou says that they are scared, and then she goes into the diner. I gotta tell you, like, I did not like seeing nice guy Tom act like that.
But he has every right to.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's scary. All of a sudden, everything's changed, and their rations, may become kind of tight. But yeah, just kind of scary.
Well,
but,
this comes down to they have separate rules.
Yeah.
And everybody's scared.
But you know what? Like, the Colony House people would come down to the diner. They didn't do all their eating up at Colony House.
But
it did seem like Colony House's food was for Colony House, though.
It's just people, when things change like this, people get scared.
They get a little desperate.
They get a little desperate. So.
Now, here's something random. Eli says those things weren't supposed to get into Colony House. What does he mean? Is there something a little more going on?
No, just that they have talismans. There shouldn't be a problem.
But they all have talismans. Like,
that's the point. Is that they don't. That shouldn't have happened. I think that's the way I interpreted it.
It shouldn't have happened, but I kind of just think there might be something more there. Like, maybe that's the deal that Donna made. That was part of her deal. If she is some kind of mole. Anyway.
Right.
The 16th scene. We are in the town, standing between houses. Boyd and Cautry stand between houses in the town looking toward the woods. Boyd asks if the monsters walk around in the forest during the day, and Cautry says, not as far as they can tell. So I think this is that first day that Boyd's been in town. Boyd says that there might be resources out there. Scavenge them during the daytime. Cautry asks how long Boyd was in the military, and Boyd says almost 30 years. He set up operations in some of the biggest, baddest on the planet. And Abby was a Marine, and she's the badass of the family. So this is what I'm seeing is the ideas start spinning in Boyd's head, and he's thinking about all the stuff he could possibly find out there to get this town organized. I don't, we don't know how much he knows at this point regarding any kind of supplies. There has to be some kind of supplies that they have. I mean, we don't know how long the other people have been there at that point either. So the 17th scene, this is the town and we're on the street. Abby stands on the street watching people go about their business. It's a wee day. I'm not sure what that means. A woman walks toward her with a filled grocery bag. Two other women walk away from her down the street, and a guy is stripping a car. Abby fondles the pendant on her necklace and she stares. Ellis walks behind her, wondering what she's doing, and asks if she's okay. She says she's fine. She's just thinking about a dream that she had when she was a little girl. And she says, I was, and then she doesn't finish the sentence. Then tells Ellis that they should help his dad. There's lots to do. Then she walks down the street alone, just leaving Ellis there. So, of course, I'm wondering what her dream was about, and we don't know. We never know what her dream was really about. So in the 18th scene, we're in the sheriff's office, and Boyd is packing, and Kenny's there with him and tells Kenny that he can't go now because of the near riot at the diner. And already, wait a minute. Kenny says, but this is why you said you had to go, that people are coming apart. It's already starting to happen. And Boyd says that they lost over a dozen people last night. Kenny says that they'll lose more if they start to panic. Boyd stops Kenny. Boyd says that he'll stay until things settle down. Kenny asks, what if they don't? And then Donna comes in. Boyd tells Kenny that they are done, and Kenny says that they are not done. And that takes Boyd by surprise because, Boyd is the authority figure there. Kenny's just the kid. Kenny says that Boyd told him that he had to go and that Kenny had to step up while Boyd was gone, that they're running out of time. So what's changed? We've all been sitting around the last few months like the talismans were the solution. We were never safe. The talismans were a band-aid, a temporary reprieve. Things were never okay and never will be okay. We need to find a way home or everyone else will end up like Khatri. There are answers out there and you're going to find them. You need to get your shit together and be a scary hard ass because that's what we need right now. If you're not going to fight to go home, then we might as well swallow a bullet right now, and hands his gun to Boyd. Boyd says nothing. Kenny puts his gun in his holster and abruptly leaves. Donna says she didn't know that the little bastard had it in him. So then tells Boyd to explain what Kenny was talking about. Where are you going? Boyd says they'll take a walk and he'll explain on the way. So when I look at that, and I'm looking for a pen that actually writes. All right. So remember at the beginning how many days that things, there hadn't been any deaths. There had been 96 days, right? Without any deaths, no problems whatsoever. And so what's up?
No, I said right.
Okay. So that works out to just over 3 months' time. Now, at some point that's coming up, Boyd is going to comment that he's been there for 3 months. And I think that's when he found the talismans. That might be at the end. I'm not sure. They've had the talismans a few months. Yeah. So I think it's like 96 days since those talismans showed up and everything has been going smoothly. So 19th scene, we're in the town and it's the field next to a house with the vacation sign next to it. And Khatri is walking down the street and hears Boyd, and he hears a goat going, ah! So Boyd is cajoling the goat, and shows Khatri the goat that he found about a half mile out, and it was just eating some grass. He says that there are chickens out there, and tomorrow they'll set up a trap. Khatri is incredulous. Boyd tells Khatri to grab some people because they need to start rebuilding the pen outside the barn. Ellis comes up and says that he needs to talk to Boyd. And this stuff is what really bugs me about Boyd. All right. So Ellis comes up and says he really needs to talk to him. And so Boyd and Ellis walk away. Ellis tells him that he needs to stop going out into the woods because Abby's not doing well. Boyd has been going out there for weeks and is not seeing what's happening there, like there in the town. This place is starting to get to her. Boyd says that he knows Ellis is scared and that he's terrified, but do Boyd a favor and look around. Things that they are doing are working. Let's see. Oh, yeah. All right, that doesn't belong there. That doesn't belong there. Ellis says that sometimes he sees her standing in the middle of the road just staring off. Boyd stops him and says that Abby is as tough as they come. They call her Iron Abby. Boyd says that this is what we have to do. Ellis says that Boyd isn't listening to what he's saying to him. Boyd says that they have about 4 hours of daylight left. He tells Ellis to help his mom get everyone tucked away and that when he gets home tonight, we'll talk. Ellis begs him to stay. Boyd says, "We will talk tonight. Go help your mom." This entire conversation just really, really, really bugged me. It's just, Boyd is such a helper. He's so clearly defined as being Mr. Fish and Loaves, meaning he's got to make things happen. He's got to build community. He's got to make people feel safe and give them resources and get them organized and relating to one another, that he completely overlooks his family, the people that love him the most, and the only two people there that love him and need him the most. Like at this time, they actually need him. And I don't think they've needed him like this before. They seem to be like, Boyd is definitely independent. Abby is obviously independent. And so given that she's not acting that way right now, I kind of think he should have been taking that more seriously than he was.
I think that you're right, but this has gone with the Matthews family as well.
Yeah.
And I when you're in the rewatch,
yeah,
I kind of have like a little bit of a theory that the way Sarah was possessed, for lack of a better term, possibly, Abby got possessed in some way.
Yeah. I don't think you're far off there. And
I wouldn't be surprised if she comes back. She's already come back once for the bad guys. Although it was a hallucination or whatever else, there's something. I think she's going to be redeemed for what she does in this episode.
Oh, I think so too. And, while you were talking, I was just thinking about it. Like, Abby is the same as Tabitha. She's feeling disconnected. She needs help. And then Jim is just trying to keep them afloat. And when they get to From, they start to become the opposite of what they were. Like, Jim's not falling apart per se, but he and Tabitha are on the same page again. I don't know. So the 20th scene is in the forest. Boyd is trekking his way through the woods and marking trees as he goes so he can find his way back. Boyd hears soft growling and sees a German Shepherd. The dog has a collar on with a dog bone shaped tag on it. Boyd asks what he's doing out there. Boyd says that he belongs to someone out there maybe. Victor asks if he lives out there with someone, and then a twig snap. Victor, I think I meant Boyd. Boyd asks if he lives out there with someone, and then a twig snaps and the dog looks. Boyd draws the dog to him. Just as the dog touches Boyd's hand, another twig snaps and the dog runs off. Boyd chases the dog. Boyd stops and realizes that he's lost. He wanders through the night and then hears a shriek. So the sun has set. Boyd can't find his way back to the town. And so now he hears a shriek. So he pulls his gun. Here's another shriek. He backs up against a tree. He pushes back against the tree and then falls into a hole. He looks up and he sees the milkman peering through the branches that's, between Boyd and him. And then like the teen girl that sort of looks like Jasmine, but her hair is kind of rattier than what Jasmine's was. So it's a different girl. So we see a teen girl and then the shape of a couple others. And then they slowly back away. Boyd looks up and he sees that there are talismans everywhere embedded into the stone walls. So Boyd has just fallen into some kind of stone structure. And he starts pulling these talismans out and he's looking at them and they've got all these symbols on them. And they're all the same and they're just all stuck up in the wall. So he has found the talismans. And this seems to be somewhat near the beginning of when he gets to From. I mean, I don't know if he's been there a week or longer, a month, and he's just gotten stuff done. Not sure. So the 21st scene is the clinic, and we're on the first floor.
Right.
Boyd goes into the clinic to see Ellis and Fatima to talk about the night before. Boyd tells him that he's setting off today to find a way out. Ellis says, so in other words, you're about to go into the woods with no idea what you're looking for because that worked so well last time. Boyd asks Fatima to give them a second alone, and Boyd tells Ellis it's okay to be angry with him and hate him, but he's going to say a couple of things and Ellis will listen whether he wants to or not. I mean, this is the same old Boyd. Like, it's going the way that he says and not so much the way that anybody else would say. So Boyd says if he doesn't make it back, he doesn't want Ellis to regret what he didn't say. He doesn't want Ellis to feel he won't be there to tell him it's okay. So Boyd is telling him now that it's okay and that Ellis is his son. Mine. I love you. And I'm proud of the man that you've become. And not a single day goes by when that isn't true. Okay? Ellis says, yeah, it's okay. Boyd says okay and wipes his tears and leaves. And Ellis just lets him go. Donna is waiting outside the clinic for him when he comes out and asks how it went. Boyd says about as well as can be expected. Donna says that Ellis will come around and asks if Boyd is really going to go, and he says it looks like it. Boyd says, you and me have had our differences, and he thanks her for looking after Ellis. She did something he couldn't. She tells him that he did enough. He did more than anyone else ever has to. She tells him to come back so that she has someone to argue with. They hug, and she tells him to go before anyone thinks they're friends, which I thought was cute. So Ellis is sitting on the bed thinking. Fatima comes back to him and sits down. She says that she's going to say something to him, and he might not. It might make him hate her. And if it does, that's okay. So what happened wasn't your dad's fault, and it wasn't yours. It was this place. I wasn't here. I may not have seen it, but I know your dad. I know that if there was anything else he could have done, he would have done it. What happened was so awful. It's almost inconceivable, and it fills you with rage that you need to put somewhere. And this whole time, your dad let you put it on him, because that's what parents do. But did you, for a second, stop to consider what that day was like for him? What he's carried every second of every day since? If you don't get up and go after him now, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life, which, could be short. So I just kind of want to draw your attention to the board. All right. So the Matthews family and Jade arrive 7 days ago. Then a few months before that, which is like 4 to 5 months, Sarah and Nathan arrive. Christy comes 6 months. Fatima, a year. So let's go right back up here. When they arrive, these 5 people, it's been 96 days without an incident. So that puts us in this area right here. Boyd hasn't been there that long. Boyd and Ellis and Abby, they haven't been there that long.
Correct.
And Fatima says, I wasn't here. And she's been there a year. I think that's a continuity error. We know she's been there for a year because they were having a big party celebrating it. So I think it's either she meant to say there or there's a continuity error there. But I love how both her and Boyd just talk to Ellis and they're like, one of them is like, I love you. It doesn't matter anything, whatever happens between us, I'm always going to love you. And the other one's like, you're being a dumbass. So at any rate, this is the 23rd scene. We're in the forest and we're in Boyd's stone hidey hole. Boyd comes out of his hiding place. His button-down shirt is off, and he's holding the talismans in the shirt that he found. So as he walks back to town, he starts hearing gunshots. So he starts running. In town, people are running every which way. Abby stands in the middle of the street, and she is shooting. And it's pretty much the same spot she was standing in when she told Ellis that she had a dream when she was a little girl. So she takes aim and she fires. Boyd comes around the corner near the church and sees her. And so she fired at a woman, and I'm pretty sure it was a woman that died on the other side of the church in the field there. In town, oh, wait a minute. He drops the shirt filled with talismans and he pulls out his gun and he calls to her. She takes aim and fires at someone else and down they go. He calls to her to get her attention. She takes aim and fires and kills somebody else. Donna runs to that person. He continues to call to her. Abby takes aim at Donna. He continues to call to her. Donna begs her. Donna says, it's okay. It's okay. And then Abby says, it's not real. It's a nightmare. Very matter-of-factly. The only way for us to go home is to wake everyone up. It's okay. You can't die in dreams. Everything is going to be okay. Boyd says, Abby, stop. She turns and she says, no. He says, hey, I found something. And he reholsters his gun. Something I think that's going to help us. And she says, you didn't come back before it got dark. There's no way you could have survived out there. Not if it was real. And he says, yeah. She says, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake everybody up. Boyd pleads, baby, please, baby. She laughs and sings, if I had a boat, I'd go out on the ocean. And he thinks that he's connecting with her. So he sings, if I had a pony. Ellis arrives calling mom. And, Boyd and Abby are singing. And Ellis comes running in. And Boyd screams, no, no, and she turns and pulls her gun. And Boyd screams, no, no, and pulls his gun. And before she shoots Ellis, Boyd shoots Abby. So, you know how we've been doing these multiple watches? Like, I don't even know how many times I've seen this episode now, but it's like when I'm sitting here typing this out, like I start thinking about things. And I admit I was a little lost between what she had said before to Ellis that she had a dream when she was a little girl.
Right.
And I'm wondering if, it was like a nightmare and she dreamt she died and her parents told her, if you die in your dreams, it's not real. Sometimes you've heard that, right?
Right.
And so Boyd dies, or not Boyd dies, but she thinks Boyd has to be dead because he didn't come home before dark, doesn't show up to the next day. And so when she's looking at him, it just confirms what she's thinking, that nobody dies. So the only way to get everyone to wake up out of this nightmare is to start shooting them.
That's one way. I go back to my original statement where something went down with her. I don't think she went crazy on purpose.
Oh God, no.
No,
I don't think she went crazy.
I think the monsters did something to her.
I think so.
That's my theory.
I mean, when she's talking now, like, the other day the day before, and she's talking to Ellis, she just seems like she's in a daze. Like she's been, I don't know, not sedated, like, asleep, but like she's taken some kind of medication that has like calmed her way down. I don't know what that medication would be, but it's calmed her way down. So she's kind of like a zombie walking around, and she's not really plugged in and feeling things. She's not tuned in. So I don't know. But
I think you're right. No, I think you're right.
No, but I think you're right. They could have
what I mean by that is I think she does have that zombie-ish issue going on.
Yeah.
And
but they could have done something to her to make her like that.
I mean, again, I'm not trying to have breaking news here by saying this. I'm saying it because I do firmly believe it. And at the end of the day, who's to really say what the heck is going on?
Right. Right. We don't know.
We do not know, but at the same time, the show has shown us one thing. Everything is on the table.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
That's, I'm not going to lie. In terms of effect of the show, I thought it was brilliant. And especially with the previous episode when Ellis gets into that fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's keep going.
Okay. So the 24th scene is at the sheriff's office, and we're in Boyd's bedroom. He has folded his dark blazer and he's put it on the nightstand. And then he takes his badge off his belt. So he's taking off the sheriff and leaving it there. He grabs this tan windbreaker type thing and he puts that on. He goes over to a box and pulls out a lighter out of the pocket. And wait a minute, I'm lost. He goes over to a box and pulls out a windbreaker and pulls a lighter out of the pocket and puts it back in, and pulls cigarettes out of his pants pocket and puts it in the pocket of the windbreaker and puts the jacket on the bed. He claps his hands and then he sits down. It all made more sense when I was looking at it. But anyway, the 25th scene, Boyd has a backpack. He's out in the forest, and he's sleeping. Wait a minute. Sleeping, or did I mean walking? He's got a backpack, and he's walking with the backpack strapped to his back, and he's wearing a clean tan button-down shirt. Ellis finds him just as he reaches the shack that Sarah was sitting in. He's been following Boyd since Boyd left town. He's been trying to find the courage to say something. I'm kind of wondering why Boyd didn't hear him. When the monsters got inside Colony House, he and Fatima would have died. The one thing that saved them was the talisman on the door. He's been so angry for a really long time, and he didn't know how to. But if Boyd didn't bring the talismans back, it wasn't your fault, Dad. What Mom did, it wasn't your fault. I'm sorry, Dad. They fall into each other's arms, crying and consoling one another. Boyd assures him that it's not goodbye. Then Sarah comes out of the shack. Ellis sees Sarah, and Boyd tries to explain that he needs to take her with him because she might be helpful. Boyd will explain everything when he gets back and asks for Ellis to trust him. Ellis says, just come back. They both say, I love you, and Ellis leaves. The thing that bugs me about this is Boyd just keeps going into that same stance where he is like trying to explain what he's doing. He's not asking permission. He's just taking it.
Well, that's him. That's Boyd.
Yeah.
He's being Boyd.
It's like he's constantly negotiating, but he doesn't negotiate with anybody.
Right.
He just does it. So the 26th scene, we're in the diner on the front steps. The people of the town are gathered around, and Kenny is giving an encouraging speech. We're in a tight spot. Nobody's going to pretend otherwise. But Sheriff Boyd is risking everything for us out there in the forest. The least we can do is keep ourselves together while he does. So that means we're going to do things a little differently going forward. No more Colony House. No more town. We're a community. So we do this together. Donna speaks. All you Colony House folk, I don't want to hear any of you being shitty house guests. Now we're going to get the house put back together. But first of all, Jim here has an idea about a way we might be able to get a signal to folks back in the world. So we can either put our energy toward boarding up a bunch of broken windows, or we can help build something that gets us all out of this shithole. Jim? So Jim goes up on the steps and he says, well, we're going to need supplies. Anything we can get our hands on. We're going to need batteries, anything with a charge, but most of all, we're going to need people. The sooner we get this built, the sooner we can all go home. And then if I Had a Boat starts playing, people are bringing supplies up to Colony House, like wood and tools and cables and stuff. So the 27th scene is the gas station / bar, and we're in front of the porch. Fatima stands waiting while If I Had a Boat plays. She greets Ellis, and she asks if he's okay, and he says no, and so she hugs him. So in the forest, at the shack, Boyd comes out of the shack. Sarah follows. He brought her a sweater, shirt, and jeans, so she's changed into clean clothes that don't have blood on them for the moment. And he turns to her and says that he can't take any chances, as he holds out a set of handcuffs, and then he puts them on her, and they go. They walk off into the woods. Not the sunset, because they don't do that. So that is our episode, and I don't know, like we have 2 episodes left. I remember at the time when I was watching it, I don't know, I'm thinking, is this the cliffhanger? Them just walking out into the woods. And then I pleasantly discovered that there were 2 more episodes. So
right. It was this episode, I really think, filled some gaps. And I remember when we first watched this, it was like, okay, we had the big 8, we
Yeah.
had the big scene. And if you go back to some of the interviews that we did, everybody was like all about, I'm sorry, not episode 8, episode 7. Everybody was about episode 7,
Yeah.
the big, Jasmine and all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
now we're trying to recoup after that, and it's starting to play out.
Yeah.
And that's what's so amazing about this. But folks, we will be doing our next episode is going to be season 1, episode 9, Into the Woods. And I'm really looking forward to this because we are starting to get to the end of season 1 into season 2. And hopefully we will be into season 3 very soon, hopefully sooner rather than later. We're also going to be looking forward to any other MGM drops, MGM from drops.
Yeah.
We had our live trailer. Sorry, I couldn't think of that.
We got the trailer.
And
so anything that they're letting out, it's
coming. I mean, we're hopefully going to be getting notification, hopefully in the summer, that we can maybe even talk to some of the actors. We're going to try to get some of the actors on before then because they've got some projects, and they've been posting all sorts of good stuff of their life after From season 3.
Yeah. Some of them have been really busy. Did you see Liz at Con?
Yeah, it was she was really, she really has to step it up. Oh my God, she looked amazing. Come on.
That black sequin dress was off the hook.
Oh my God, beautiful girls wearing nothing but pearls. She was something to die for. And it's just neat to see that we know it's over. They've all posted that it's over. Now it's in the hands of the magic.
Yeah.
And we're just really looking forward to it. But that being said, we will be back for the next episode, season 1, episode 9, Into the Woods. And we are
I'd like to say something real quick.
Okay.
So some of you have noticed that Alex and I have not been regular. It's my fault. It's kind
of my fault, but it's kind of both of our faults. Bottom line is we had some real life issues going on, and the bottom line is we're going to try to get back on track here. That's kind of detained us. It doesn't matter. We just got some issues.
I know. I'm just saying, it's coming to a head. I'm going to need some grace. And this is not something that we are giving up on at all. We don't want you to think that. We are dedicated to this. It's just sometimes life gets in the way.
Well, plus, in the fact is we're not in season, so we will be here for in season, and that's the main thing.
Yeah.
To talk about this for the water cooler talk that we need to do. So that said, my name is Alex.
And I'm Lizzie.
And we'll see you soon.
Get you home. Let's go. Come on, get in your house. Let's go. Come on.